You are now listening to the Minority Trailblazer Podcast, and I'm your host, Greg E. Hill, the Culture Change Agent. Y'all know what time it is. It's Thursday. Thursday means another episode, and man, I hope you can tell by my voice, I am excited. And if you're new to the show, the Minority Trailblazer Podcast is a weekly podcast that is dedicated to minorities who are blazing a trail in a variety of industries, such as education, business, comedy, entrepreneurship, etc. And our goal is to share the stories of inspiring minorities in hopes to inspire, educate, empower, and encourage our future and current generational leaders. Feature guest today, whoa! She's about to add a lot of value, give a lot of actionable tips, and for all those out there that has or had dreams of starting a nonprofit, or has a son, a family member, you yourself, or a friend that's interested into getting in the nonprofit sector, or interning for the Whitehouse, or anything around the internship, work experience area in the political arena, the health arena, this is the show for you. And before I get into the information and read the crazy bio of our guest, I just want to say I am humbled and thankful for the fact that you're listening to the show, for the fact that, to date, we have been downloaded and subscribed over 4,000 times. I could never even imagine this type of feedback when I first started almost 2 months ago. We've been downloaded in places like Taiwan, the province of China, Chile, Hungary, Germany, Ethiopia. That's crazy, right? God is working. That's crazy. So, and I just also want to give a special shout out to Sinej, Yelsu, Brittany Jones, Latracia Jones, Elvira Valvez, and so many more for leaving a review. That really means a lot, because that helps the podcast so much as far as the rankings and searching. So definitely, if you've been listening and you enjoy the podcast, please pause it and leave a review. It only takes 2 minutes. So let me get into, I got to do my shameless plug at the beginning of the episode. Let me get into our featured guest today, all right? Gosh, we've been having a lot of strong black females on this podcast. Is a proud graduate of UNC Chapel Hill. Shout out to the Tar Heels. You already know. And she's currently a first-year MPH student in the Gilling School of Global Public Health, studying in health behavior. She's a half Barnhill Merit Scholar, a.k.a. full scholarship. No, had to pay nothing, none in her pocket, right? Check this out. She's interned for the Whitehouse. She worked an entire semester in the Office of Presidential Personnel. And before she even began there, after she graduated from UNC, she worked in Brooklyn's Health Corps system, which is a national nonprofit started by Dr. Oz, the guy on Oprah, aimed at reducing childhood obesity. She also is interned under Congressman Emanuel Cleaver through the Congressional Black Caucus. And this girl is only 24. She is freaking amazing. And when she left D.C., and this is the crest of the show, when she left D.C., she continued her public service efforts and to combine her love for public health. And during the summer of 2011, she has established Healthy Girls Save the World, which is a 501(c) nonprofit that provides a space for girls in North Carolina to foster the development of healthy habits related to proper nutrition, physical activity, and overall healthy lifestyles, which has received tens of thousands of dollars of grant award money to date. It is a nationally award-winning nonprofit, receiving awards from Clinton's Global Initiative University, the Pearson Foundation, the Maya Angelou Center for Women's Health and Wellness, and the Kenan Biddle Partnership, as well as companies like Liberty Mutual. It has been phenomenal, the work she has done in the UNC community, for her community at large, in the award and the claim she has received. And this is not it. She is in graduate school, and she's right now, after graduate school, she's studying. We are in the MLT MBA prep program. Shout out to MLT. She's going on to receive her MBA or joint PhD with aspirations of becoming a C-level executive within a healthcare organization. Without further ado, I know y'all tired of me talking. Let's get to the show. I have the honor to introduce Camille McGirt to the Minority Trailblazer Podcast. Welcome to the show.
Hello. Thank you for having me here.
No problem. Now, before we dig into the show and dig into your journey and what you're doing now, I want to explain the show because we might have some little listeners on. The show is broken up into 3 phases, right? The first phase, we're going to talk about your story. We're going to get a little bit personal and kind of paint the picture. The second phase, we're going to actually give more actionable advice about how do you kind of enter fields and stuff that our audience can do on a daily basis to become more successful and better. And then the third phase is we're going to talk future, because I'm a big believer of planning for the future and being intentional. So we're going to talk about the future, and then we're going to jump into our culture change round, man. So let's jump right in. Explain, and this is for you, Camille. Can you give our audience a little bit of your background and what do you do?
Yeah. So I actually started off before I went to Carolina. I started off at Hampton University, where I played basketball. If you ever meet me, you'll notice that I'm about 6 feet and 4 inches tall. And so while I was at Hampton, I got hurt while I was playing ball. I tore my ACL and I had to have surgery on my shoulder. So I had 2 big injuries within the same year. And so I kind of had to reevaluate my life's plan and my goals. And my coach actually sat me down during our exit meeting that May. And he said, Camille, we're moving in a different direction. We're really not getting a big return on our investment. So we're going to move in a different direction, and we're not going to renew your scholarship for the upcoming season. And so that was a big blow for me because I was counting on that scholarship to keep me in school. But fortunately, while I was at Hampton, I kept a pretty strong GPA, and I was pretty involved on campus with the student newspaper, the Leadership Institute, and I did a lot of community service through the athletic department, and I was able to land an internship at the Whitehouse in the Office of Presidential Personnel. And while I was there, I got a chance to volunteer with the Let's Move campaign. And I just became enamored with the First Lady's passion to address the childhood obesity epidemic. And then that next semester, I was on the Hill with Congressman Emanuel Cleaver and the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation interning on the Hill. And so when I came home that summer, I really wanted to make that Let's Move message tangible for girls on a local level. So I established Healthy Girls Save the World, which is a nonprofit that promotes healthy minds, healthy bodies, and healthy relationships for girls in North Carolina. And we have events where girls get to come to college campuses and they get to meet college athletes. They get to engage in physical activity. They get to cook and learn how to learn about nutrition, and they get to eat healthy food. They get to learn about respectful and positive relationships. So it's a really, really fun program that I was able to develop through my time at the Whitehouse and even while I was on the Hill, because I created my community action plan through my time with the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation. And that summer I was able to come home and start the program. And now we are a nonprofit and we exist formally at UNC Chapel Hill, and we're trying to expand to other colleges across the state.
Wow, that's huge. And you didn't even touch on your story about what you do currently with the Dr. Oz and that movement. So we're going to take a little deep dive into that, man. It's just, I can't excite you. You got me excited. I'm sitting here like somebody else is hosting the show right now. So before we kick things off, I want to start the ball off with a quote, because anybody that knows me knows that I'm like the biggest quote fanatic in the world. I wake up every morning at 4:30 a.m. and send people quotes and get the ball rolling. So I want to take the same approach with this show. So Camille, can you give me a quote that you love, that really excites you, and then explain how it correlates with your life right now?
Yeah. Let's see. I really like a quote by Dr. Martin Luther King that he says in his What's Your Life's Blueprint speech. And it says, and when you discover what you will be in your life, set out to do it as if God Almighty called you at this particular moment in history to do it. Don't just set out to do a good job. Again, don't set out just to do a good job. If it falls your lot to be a street sweeper, sweep streets like Michelangelo painted pictures. Sweep streets like Beethoven composed music. Sweep streets like Shakespeare wrote poetry. Sweep streets so well that all the hosts of heaven and earth will have to pause and say, here lived a great street sweeper who swept his job well. For it isn't by size that you win or fail. Be the best of whatever you are. I really like that quote by Dr. Martin Luther King, and I really make sure that I apply it to my life. I really and truly believe at being the best of whatever you are. I don't necessarily believe in doing a ton of things at the same time. I think that if you can really dig into one thing and do it really, really well, and you make that your life's purpose, then you will be amazing at it and you will be able to impact a lot of people. And so I really make sure that I apply that to my life. I like to make sure that I set myself apart from my peers and other people who are doing the same things around me so that I can make sure that I am the best at my job at all times.
One, that was a powerful quote. And two, you hit on a lot of good takeaways right there. And I'm gonna just let the audience a little meditate on that right quick. I just got to. So, question. I know you said it in your quote. You said you want to focus on one thing and stand out on that. So, What is your one thing?
So, right now, my one thing is Healthy Girls Save the World. Being in a leadership position sometimes can be a little arduous, mostly because you have to learn to relinquish power. When I first started Healthy Girls, it was just me doing everything, calling parents, sending out emails, contacting the athletic department, reserving rooms, making sure that we had enough girls for our events, sending out donation letters to store managers, literally hustling, trying to make sure that this concept that I had worked and came to fruition. And so once I was able to essentially do a good job and be the best at it, I was able to attract more people to want to be led by me. And once I did that, I learned that I could not do it all on my own all the time, because that wasn't sustainable. And so I had to learn to lead and learn to give up some of my power and not have as much autonomy all the time. So right now we have a lot of different projects going on within Healthy Girls, which again is the one thing that I'm really putting a lot of my time and focus into right now. Even as I work a full-time job, but again, just leading that and trying to make sure that we're able to kind of catapult ourselves amongst the other nonprofits around right now. We're still pretty young, and actually we're starting a new program model. So we're really excited to kind of launch that and to kind of have a new culture within our organization. So that's the one thing that I'm trying to be the best at right now.
Yeah, that's huge. That's definitely huge. I think you hit on one key takeaway that the whole audience can take away from is, before you became a leader, before you started leading, directing people, and really gathering a movement, you were on the ground floor by yourself, doing anything and everything to survive.
Yeah,
to survive.
Literally.
and it's crazy. And before I kind of dig deep into how you started a nonprofit and that process, I want to take 5 steps back, because we might have some high schoolers or some college students on the line on the phone, or some young adults that they're looking at what you've accomplished, working with the Whitehouse, starting your own nonprofit, and you're only 23, right?
Yeah, 23.
So where did this come from? Like as a kid or growing up, how did you to get the skill set or the tools that's required to really be a leader and to really make these type of leaps at such a young age? Like, where do I start?
Yeah. I'd say make sure, number one, you surround yourself with other people who are like-minded. When I was in high school, I definitely played basketball. And I had some good teammates and I had some not so great teammates. But I think that I was really able to, while I was at my school, I took some of the hardest classes offered. I went to Hillside High School in Durham. I took some of the hardest classes offered at that school, and I was able to really surround myself with other students who were in the International Baccalaureate program who also had big goals and big dreams and weren't just at school just to be there. They knew that they wanted to take their education outside of high school, go to college, possibly get a professional degree, and really, really help to change the world. And so I was able to really just kind of grasp that concept, that aura, while I was in high school. And it's really about setting yourself apart from people who really just aren't doing anything with their lives, and people who are around that'll bring you down. And it's also about surrounding yourself with mentors and people who will help to uplift you, and being involved in a lot of different programs while in high school. While I was in high school, I did this this crazy science program called Project Seed, where I was actually in UNC School of Public Health when I was in high school.
Wow.
I did a project on I synthesized these PAHs to some quinones and catechol in the environmental sciences department in the School of Public Health. And while I was there, it was a very, very rigorous science program that made me learn a lot about the molecules I was working on. And also I had to do a lot of public speaking at a lot of different science fairs across the state. And so that helped me to really garner really strong public speaking skills, and also dig into one thing and do it really well. And so I was able to do that. And that brought me a lot of awards and recognition. And that helped to set me apart from a lot of my peers. Even though I didn't go into science, that program really helped to start me on my way to kind of making it to where I am now.
That's huge. And I guess the top 3 takeaways: 1, surround yourself with positive people by any means. So if somebody wasn't adding value to your life, then they had to be out of it. And I think the second key you mentioned is mentorship and finding them. And I want to kind of dive into that for one quick second. How do you go about finding mentors? Because it's not like there's a site that says, hey, sign me up to be a mentor. I can change your life. How, as a young age, and how are you able to find mentors?
That's actually a really good idea to make a website like mentorship.com and find a mentor in your area. That's actually a really good idea. But I'd say with mentors, I mean, it was really just about finding positive adults or role models in the fields, or like in the units that I was like just kind of in all the time. So I played basketball, and there was a coach at Hillside, one of the assistant coaches, who kind of took me under her wing, and she helped me out a lot when it came to school, when it came to basketball. And she was someone that I could really confide in. When I grew up in church, and there were a lot of people at church who helped me, who prayed for me, and who were there for me when I needed them. And so I think that it's really just about finding people who you can depend on and who are role models in the circles that you're in. So if you play soccer, or if you're a dancer, or if you're doing something in science, or if you're in a program at church, finding that one person who is willing to help you, to be there for you, and to be a strong role model in your life.
Yeah, you hit on the head. And honestly, with the proliferation of social media nowadays, and LinkedIn and Twitter and Instagram, there's never been a moment in history, if you're a young person, that you can't find somebody that you look up to and reach them. Like, I mean, you can create a LinkedIn profile and send a message. It has to be a couple sentences to somebody you look up to. Like, for instance, me, I look up to Seth Godin. And Seth Godin, for anybody that doesn't know who he is like the Michael Jordan of marketing. He's a white guy with a bald head. Like, he is the guru of blogging and marketing. So I just sent him an email one day and said, hey, my name is Greg Hill. I think one day I'm gonna be the Black Seth Godin, and can we talk? And the crazy thing is, a couple hours later, he emailed me back. This is a guy that is the Michael Jordan of marketing, and he emailed me right back. And it's crazy how small the world is now. So there's no excuses out there. Whatever you're trying to do, if you're trying to be a barber, or if you're trying to be a hair salon person, if you're trying to make cakes, if you're trying to throw parties, any industry, there are moguls and celebrities or people out there on these networks that you're on all day that you can reach out to. So I'm glad we definitely touched on that. So let's get into starting a nonprofit, because I mean, I want to talk about a couple things, but I know a lot of friends, a lot of young adults that are in corporate America that have these passions and they want to start a nonprofit, but they don't know where to start. So what tips can you kind of give somebody that is on the fence about it, have an idea, but they don't know where to start and how to get it, to bring it to fruition?
Yeah, well, I'd say I'd give you 3 tips. The first one is to develop your idea. And that's actually something that I wish I would have done with Healthy Girls a little bit more when I first started. When I first started, I just wanted to have a cool program with college athletes where girls were running around and losing weight and getting excited about their fruits and vegetables. And I was like, yeah, this is going to be so amazing. Because while I was at the White House, I volunteered during the Easter egg roll. And I was actually like on the basketball court on the south lawn of the White House. and like Nick Young was there, Elena Beard, Monique Curry, some of the like my basketball idols like growing up were there. And I was like, whoa. And the kids were so excited to be around these professional athletes. Like there were girls in like little skirts, like trying to throw basketballs and dribbling through cones. And I was like, whoa, like this is so awesome. Like kids get really excited to be around athletes. And so like that was the wow factor of that part of Let's Move. And so I was like, well, you know, I can take this and I can bring it home and make girls excited about sports and physical activity and health. And so I just thought that it was going to just be that simple, that easy, you know, bring in some athletes from Carolina and Duke and they'll talk to them and they'll get excited. But it was not that easy. Once I got into the School of Public Health at UNC and learned a lot more about health behavior and health education, I learned about like the socio-ecological framework and how there are a lot of different pieces that are responsible for a person's health behavior on an individual level, on a family and like familial level, on a community level, and even on a policy level, like, you know, what's offered in your grocery stores. And so, you know, I was just like, man, like there's so much there was so much research that I could have done to make this program stronger. And right now, I'm working with a couple of public health students across the country, actually, to really develop our problem statement and what we're trying to solve and how the components of our program are helping to solve those problems. And so I really wish that I would have developed my idea a lot more initially, done a lot more back research. The second thing I would say is to have a strong team. Again, going into what I was saying earlier, when I first started, like I was literally running around like a crazy person, trying to make sure that this idea was able to live and to breathe. And it was very, very, very hard. But one thing that I can say is that if you work hard, people will notice and people will be attracted to it. And so I was able to attract a very, very strong team of young ladies who are currently students at UNC who are helping me develop this program. Some of them are now on our board, and even some professors at Carolina as well are sitting on our board, and they are doing some tremendous things for our program. Actually, one girl, she's currently our development director. She was able to link us with Wells Fargo for our summer experience that we had this past year, and they donated a ton of money for our girls to go to Pinehurst to the U.S. Open Women's Golf Tournament, where they got a chance to meet Cheyenne Woods, who is Tiger Woods' niece. So, you know, having a strong team of people, they can help you to develop your idea, to reach out to partnering organizations, to reach out to sponsors, and to do things that, you know, that you might not even thought of. And again, relinquishing power is hard, but I think that it's worth it in the end, if you really want to grow your idea or your program. And then I'd say the last thing is to really be a resource hound, making sure that, you know, you find every single thing that you can to grow your program. You know, doing Google searches, looking through books, talking to people, trying to find people, organizations, grants, money, resources, whatever, trying to find things that can help your program. And, you know, we were able to link up with the Clinton Global Initiative Foundation. They were like, we actually just got a check in the mail today that we put in our bank account from them. And like a ton of other organizations that have helped us. But I literally just like went through the internet scouring like different awards that I could apply for public service, different grants that didn't necessarily make you have like a tax ID number, because at the time we didn't have one, to garner funds, and making sure that we were able to get as many resources through the university as we could. And we've done we've done like a ton of pitch competitions and business case competitions, grant applications and things like that we haven't gotten. But at the same time, there are a lot that we have gotten because me and my team have been resource hounds. We have literally gone through, you know, almost every single thing that we can to make sure that we're able to garner as much stuff that we can to make sure that our program grows and flourishes. So.
Wow. That was, I mean, you had so many actionable takeaways as far as finding resources, as far as growing a team. And I think the biggest thing that you hit on was it all started with the culture you set for yourself, the standards you set for yourself, and the excellence that you expected from yourself, because that manifested in the origin of your nonprofit, as well as people just saying like, yo, I don't know what Camille is doing, but I want to be a part of it. And you didn't even have to reach out to those people. They just said, yo, I like what you're doing. You broadcasted it and they wanted to join the battle. And I think a lot of people miss out because I really think they're not transparent a lot with a lot of people's ideas. Like a lot of times people that's on the fence about these nonprofits, you look on their Instagram, you look on their Facebook, you look on their social media, you would not think in 1,000 years they wanted to start a nonprofit.
Yeah.
And they can be amazing, cool people, but if you don't know what their intent is or what they're trying to do, then you would never know. So nobody can help you if you don't vocalize it. Like it's just crazy. And I want to transition into the second part of this interview, but I want to bring it full circle for our audience that everybody's listening here. This is a female woman that her freshman year of college, 6'5", played at Hampton University. Her scholarship was cut. But not only did she said, okay, it is what it is, maintain her grade point average, go in, find an internship for the Whitehouse, and then start her own nonprofit and continue making strides. And I think everybody out there that's listening can seek some kind of motivation or inspiration from that, because no matter where you at or what life throws at you, you still have to make the most of each and every opportunity. I think, Camille, you're a testament to that.
Thank you.
So let's get to a more actionable, and I think you've already gave so much actionable advice for everybody got to get into. But say if I'm a kid and I go to North Carolina A&T or I go to HBCU and I want to intern for the Whitehouse. Where do I start? Where do I start finding these kind of internships?
All right. I would say if you're interested in policy, definitely look into the Whitehouse internship. It's a great opportunity to be around people who love politics and government. I would also say look into the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation. They have a host of internships that run all throughout the year and fellowships for students. If you are Hispanic or Latino, look into the Congressional Hispanic Caucus. They also have internships for students. Also, George Washington University has a really cool program called the Semester in Washington Politics program, which is for students in college. And if you do the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation internship in the spring, you can also be a part of the Semester in Washington Politics program at George Washington University. And everything's paid for through the CBCF, which is awesome. It's like $10,000 worth of tuition that the CBCF pays for. Also, if you are a woman, there's another internship program that I can't think of the name of it right now. It's not coming to my head. But Greg, I can email it to you after this is over. But they have a really cool internship program for women interested in politics. But I'd say, if you're interested in policy, government, really look to local officials in your area, in your state. They also have a ton of internships and summer opportunities, or even opportunities during the school year to intern and to be a part of their offices and learn more about legislation that they're working on to become passed in their local areas. And also, there's actually a really, really cool website called Volunteen. It's either .org or .com. And they have a great Twitter feed. It's just at Volunteen, VOULNTEEN. The girl that runs it, actually, we got a scholarship together called the Pearson Prize a couple years ago, and she's actually listed in Forbes 30 under 30. Her name's Simone Bernstein.
Wow.
But this Twitter feed that they have is impeccable. Like, I went to Brazil a couple weeks ago, and I found out about that program through this Twitter feed. And so they literally have almost every single program, every single scholarship, every single internship that you can find if you're between the ages of like 12 and 30, with interest in anything, science, government, music, nonprofits, whatever. Get on this Twitter feed, and you can find all types of programs and contests and stuff. And so I literally, I go through it about every other day to find stuff that Healthy Girls can apply for, to find stuff that I can apply for as a public servant. And it's very, very helpful. So I would definitely say.
What is the Twitter for that? I need to look at that.
It's called Volunteen, VOLUNTEEN. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. I can confirm it for you in a second. I can just look it up on my Twitter. But yeah, it's really, 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 really helpful. And actually, Simone's brother goes to UNC Chapel Hill. No, it's Volunteen Nation. VOLUNTEEN UNTEENNATION. Volunteer Nation.
Gotcha.
And there are just a ton of, if you really dig through it, you will see a ton of conferences you can go to across the world, all types of programs, all types of scholarships, contests, a ton of stuff. And so I use that a lot to find things for myself and for Healthy Girls.
That's huge. That's huge, man. God, man, you're just dropping bombs like on this thing. I mean, I can't wait to release this because, like I said, I'm going to a lot of high schools and touring, talking to high school students, middle schoolers, and college students. So I can't wait to them to kind of peep in on some of these programs because this is stuff that nobody's talking about in regular school, and I'm excited to kind of issue in some of this stuff. Question: how do you balance your time? Because being that, like you said, I want you to briefly talk on what you do as for Dr. Oz and the other foundation as a teacher and operate a thriving, growing nonprofit. How do you balance your time?
And it's hard. Like it's so hard. But I think, it's honestly about sacrifices. I'm a futurist. I was actually, not to put myself up, but the Root blog, they list futurists every year. And so they actually listed me as one in 2013. And I really, I think about the future constantly. I'm always thinking about my next move, what I want to do, what grad schools I'm going to apply to, all kinds of stuff. And so, it's always I'm always thinking about the future. And so I think that, since I think that way, it's easy for me to sacrifice certain social events, or, just certain things that I know aren't going to be a good use of my time. I do not like wasting time. I cannot stand wasting time. If there's something that I know will not be a great use of, 1 hour, 2 hours, 30 minutes, whatever, then I probably won't be there or doing it. So I know that if it's going to be a good use of my time, then I make sure that it's done. And again, it's just about sacrifices and knowing what I want to do and, just really making sure that stuff gets done. So
that's huge. And I want to say in accord, I cannot, if you, every day I have to be doing something, even if I'm taking a nap, even if I am not doing anything, I plan to not do anything. I don't just, there's no white space in my day because I understand by reading and by just observing the people that accomplish extraordinary things that everything they do in their life is intentional. So, and we're on the same tip. So I want to kind of get into the where you going, the futuristic part, because you said you're a futuristic and you were voted on this blog to be Miss Future. I'm gonna start calling you Miss Future, right? So, what new? And this is the transition number 3, America and audiences. This is the transition to our getting close to the final round. What new projects or events are on the horizon that you could share with our audience?
All right. I don't want to share too much, but we have a couple of things coming up with Healthy Girls that we're about to launch. The first is our new program. So in the past, we used to kind of have a free-for-all for events. Any parent could sign up on our Google Forms and anybody could come. But we noticed that there was a lack of retention of girls and also a lack of retention of knowledge over time. And we found that out through our data. And so we were we need to create actual concrete chapters of girls coming to our events over time. So we've decided that we're going to have 2 events per semester ran by our college students, and then also followed up with the summer camp at the end of the school year. But one thing that we are working on right now to increase contact hours with girls is an app for our program. I don't want to get into too much detail right now because we probably won't launch it for possibly 6 months to a year. But when we were talking with our board, they were saying it's really hard for you to have tangible impact by having 2 events per year. And that's very, very true. And so we want to make sure that our girls are actually changing their health behaviors and that our program is actually impacting their lives. And so we think that if we're able to stay in contact with them through technology more often, then we will be able to actually have some very powerful numbers when it comes to our data, and that it will really help to change our girls' lives. So those are some things that we're working on right now. We're also working on, and also we are just for next year, we want to make sure that we have a really strong summer experience that's hopefully longer than a week. So we're working on that as well. We're trying to gain some more sponsors, and we're trying to get more support from the university. So I actually have a meeting with the chancellor on Thursday of this week, and hopefully we can try to garner more support from Carolina overall. So those are some things that we're kind of working on right now.
We're going to take a little turn. We're going to get a little deep. And because we're about to wrap up, what type of legacy do you want to leave behind? And I'm sorry I had to go from 0 to 100 that fast, but what type of legacy does Camille want to leave behind?
Wow, that's a great question. I want people to know that I was a public servant, and I dedicated my life to helping other people, and specifically girls. I have a very strong interest in corporate philanthropy, and that's what I kind of want to do in the long run. I would like to work for a corporation that is helping to change the world. I want to help change the world, and I want to help people, and I really want to do that specifically through Healthy Girls Save the World. If I could run this program full time, my goodness, I would do it in a heartbeat. And so I really want this program to grow, and I want it to be what I leave on this earth when I'm gone. And I want girls from Indonesia and China and Australia and the US and Brazil to say, I am a part of Healthy Girls Save the World, and it's an awesome organization that's helped me in some type of way, whether it's going to college or whether it's helping them to have a healthier perception of their body, or whether it's to help them make choices when it comes to relationships. I want them to say that this program has helped them in some way. And so that's why I'm working so hard, because I feel like this is my life's work and my life's calling. So.
Man, that's powerful. That is very powerful. And I think everybody could take away from that. Whatever, especially for all you guys and girls that want to be entrepreneurs, want to start nonprofits, really want to do the cutting edge, you have to realize your why behind it. And I think she hit on the head, because if you don't have a why that you're willing to die for, that you are willing to invest everything into, then don't waste your time trying to start this venture. Because if you're just about the money, or just about the time or something like that, for the most part, if you really want to make a dent in society and culture, don't do it. Don't do it, man. And I definitely, it's all about the why behind it, because it's gonna keep you going through those requests for grants to say no, or the people that say, hey, it sounds like a good program, but this year we're not gonna fund it, or the university to be like, well, we would love to help Camille, but we have something else happening. Like, that's what keeps you kind of probably going and pushing. And I really want to. The nation of minority entrepreneurs and trailblazers that are listening to this to really understand that. So that leads us to the culture change round, and this round is going to be rapid answer. And I just wanted you to kind of just give us what your feelings and opinions. There's going to be 5 questions, right? Okay. So let's kick it off like this. What is the best piece of advice that you have ever received?
The best piece of advice that I've ever received, this lady told me when I was younger. She said, Camille, you're tall for a reason. And with me, I've always had like a love-hate relationship with basketball. And I feel like basketball has kind of shaped my life because it helped to give me confidence when I was younger. But when I got older, I had to find a new identity. And I always thought that I was tall because I was supposed to be some great basketball player. I was supposed to, go to play in Europe or in the WNBA one day and to just be this amazing athlete. But once I got hurt and got hurt again, I was just like, okay, this is too much wear and tear on my body. God, why am I so tall? Why do you have me? Why do you make me 6'4", 6'5"? Why am I this way? And being tall has helped me probably the most in my life. Again, you're tall for a reason. When it comes to asking people for grants and having meetings with people and going to these pitch competitions, being a 6'4", 6'5" woman is probably one of the best things that's ever happened to me, because I can walk into a room and people are like, dang, who is that girl? I can just command attention without saying a word. And so I really think that has helped me out a lot. When we were pitching in the Carolina Challenge a couple years ago, we won second place and won $10,000 for Healthy Girls. And there were we were going against a lot of different teams, and I was discouraged sometimes because I was like, these kids have these great ideas for these great projects, but I was able to deliver what I had to say in a very powerful way. And people would just stop and listen to me. And I think that a part of that had to do with my stature and how I carry myself, and the fact that I am tall. And I do believe that God has made me tall for a reason, to help lead people and to be able to just kind of state my opinion in a very powerful way in a room of people. So,
yeah, that's huge, man. Because I ain't gonna lie, if you see a 6'5" black woman come, they can talk and they knows what she's talking, you have to listen. You're 6'5", like you're going to listen. You like if you walk into a room, you're asking, "Hey, can I speak to one of them?" You're not just gonna be like, "Okay, come another day." You're gonna be like, I gotta really, you gotta command that. You command that. That's huge, man. It's so crazy. What is one of your personal habits that can be attributed to your success?
That's actually a good question. I'd say this is probably really cliche, but I have a little black book that I carry with me everywhere. I actually had a dentist appointment today, and it was like in my lap the entire time. But I write down everything that I have to do, a lot of my thoughts, meetings, and whatever I have going on that day, that week. It's all in this book. And I'm able to just open it, flip through it, and figure out what I have to do, in addition to having my calendar on my email. And, I think that sometimes people think that, she's really anal, or, she has like all this stuff that she quote unquote has to do all the time. But having this book and having my things kind of organized in my calendar really, really helps me to time my day and to plan out what I need to do. So.
That's huge. And what happens if you lose that book, though?
Oh my gosh! Whoa, yeah, that would be a problem. But I literally guard this book with my life, and I have it in my purse. I've never lost any of my books since high school. I've had like a little planner, and then when I went to college, I had it, and I keep my book. It's actually right here in front of me. So. I'll never lose it. Please know that I will never lose it. And if I did, I would be extremely distraught, and I would have to kind of go to my digital calendar for a while, and then I'll just have to buy a new one. So
that's huge, and I'll remember that, because in a couple years, when I got some crazy things I might be doing over the next couple years, we have like some live events, and you come, and I want to make sure you bring your back book, because we definitely want to bring you back.
I'll have it. Trust me, I will have it. I have it at all times, literally all times.
What is your favorite book and why? Outside of the Bible, if that's your favorite book.
My favorite book, I would have to say, I'd probably say The Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison. It talks a lot about identity and knowing yourself and who you are in a world full of people who are trying to constantly identify you, whether it's a black man or a worker or just a person or an inhumane person. And so I really, really like that book. And I think it's definitely one of my favorites, easily.
Yeah, that's it. And for all you listeners, that the book link and where you can purchase it will be in the show notes. I got to read that book. Honestly, I'm an avid reader, and I have not read it. It's been one on my recommended book list, and I definitely want to read that. What inspires you and keeps you motivated?
I'd say people. What inspires me are people who are doing the same things that I'm doing, who are successful at it. So the Clinton Global Initiative, they have this really cool thing called the CGI University. And while I was there a couple years ago, I got a chance to meet a lot of other students in college who were starting their own nonprofits. This is also a shout out to CGIU. If you are in college anywhere in the United States, you can go to the Clinton Global Initiative University Conference. They'll fly you out. It's like a 2-3 day conference. This year it'll be in Miami. And it's a really great way for you to meet other social entrepreneurs. They don't fly everybody out. You have to apply for travel and lodging assistance. But if you apply on time, they will do that. And you have to be enrolled in a institution of higher learning in order to go. So I won't be able to go again until I'm in grad school. But while I was there, I got a chance to meet a lot of other young people who are doing the same things that I'm doing. And some of them are far beyond what I'm doing right now. They have like close to $1 million in support, and they're sponsored by like Nike and Bank of America and all kinds of stuff. So, I'm like, seeing them just continues to make me work as hard as possible to make sure that my program works and runs well. So just having those role models of people who they're my role models, but they're my same age, just doing better than me. I love to surround myself by people who are doing better than me, because it makes me want to do better.
Yeah, that's you hit on the head. I think that's what when we met through the MLT program, and that's one thing the MLT program changed my life for, because I've never been in a program where you see so many minorities that are killing it. I'm talking about, like you said, I mean, these are millionaires that are our age, and I'm like, what? Right. And they're changing the world. They're not just like, okay, we have some people on Goldman Sachs that are making a lot of money, but there's others that have social things and companies that are changing society, and you're like, I wake up every morning because I gotta catch up. And,
right, no, I agree. I totally agree on that.
And our last question: if you were the president, this is the last question of this round. If you were the president of the United States, what would be the first thing you did?
Wow. What's the first thing that I would do right now?
What's the first thing you would do right now?
I think I would probably go to Ferguson, Missouri, and try to show my support for that community, and try to talk to their local politicians, and figure out ways that they can calm that community down, and ways that they can work with local law enforcement to make sure that doesn't happen again. And I will also make sure that the policeman who did shoot Michael Brown gets arrested. Because I think that that's one reason why the community is still at unrest, because that hasn't happened yet. So
of course, I didn't want to use this podcast to go on a diatribe about certain issues, but it's really hitting home right now in our population, and hopefully people like Camille, people that are actually acting on it, like everybody on social media that is voicing their opinions, I appreciate it, we love it, but make sure that you're acting to help aid the situation, to help aid the community every single day. Just because your opinions and all that stuff really doesn't mean too much if you're not really pushing the community forward. And I guess our last question is, if you could change one thing about society, most specifically our African American culture, what would it be and why? And this is a deep question. You can take your time on that.
I know exactly what I would change, actually. So one thing that I haven't touched on this entire hold on a second. This entire podcast has been my work with Health Corps. So I currently work as a Health Corps coordinator in Canarsie, Brooklyn, which is one of the roughest, toughest areas of Brooklyn in the entire borough. Gang violence is substantial. The parent involvement in my school is very low. Students in my school don't pass their state exams, the New York Regents. A lot of students fail the grades that they're in. A lot of students just don't pass classes, and they don't really have a lot of motivation to pass their classes. And so I'm really, the community that I work in, it's not a great place. And it's also in a food desert, which makes it very hard for me to do my job, which is to bring in healthy foods to the school's community. And so when I go to the store and I can't find a variety of fresh produce, then that makes it very hard for me to host like Teen Battle Chef, or to have really strong food samples at lunchtime. So one thing that I would try to change about that community is my students' emphasis on their education. I truly believe that communities can't be changed without people becoming educated and getting jobs and being able to successfully navigate in their communities. And so one thing that I'm going to make sure that I do this year is to reach out to local policymakers in my community, in the New York City Council, to set up some school visits, to show them our school's infrastructure. They can see how terrible it is, and to show them, to let them meet some of our students, and to, kind of go through which students at my school are passing their tests and which students aren't, and to show them, our students' rates of going to college and actually graduating, which is very, very low. And so I really, really wish that the African American culture in Brooklyn, specifically in the community that I work in, had a stronger emphasis on education, because I believe that if they did, then that community would be able to become more uplifted and to kind of rise out of the trenches that it's in right now. So.
That's real. That's real. That's real. And before we end, one, it's been amazing experience picking your brain, interviewing you, talking to you. Like, I mean, I can't wait to release it to the public and allow people to kind of to hear some of the stuff and advice you gave. I mean, to be 23 and to be doing what you're doing and the trajectory you're on, I'm proud, and I definitely appreciate all you're doing in the community.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
And the whole nation does. So, for anybody that's trying to keep in touch with Healthy Girls Save the World, Camille McGirt, all your new things that you got going on, or want to contact you for questions, where can they reach you at? Where can they find you at?
Yeah, so you can learn more about Healthy Girls Save the World on our website, healthygirlssavetheworld.org. We have an Instagram page, which is healthygirlssavetheworld_. Our Twitter is healthygirls_. If you want to reach out to me, you can email me at camille.mcgirt, MCGIRT@gmail.com. Sorry, I didn't spell my first name, CAMILLE .McGirt, MCGIRT@gmail.com.
Well, I will have all her contact information and things she talked about during the show in the show notes. And like I said, from our audience, from my heart, and from everybody in the world, thank you, Camille, and you have a great day. We'll see you on the flip side.
Thank you. You too. And Greg, you're doing an awesome job. I really appreciate you doing this for our community. Thank you.
No problem.
And for everybody, remember, you can check more information out the show at www.greggyhill.com/MT podcast, or please follow us on SoundCloud at Minority Trailblazer. Follow us on Instagram at Minority Trailblazer, at Greggy Hill, Twitter at Greggy Hill. I mean, any questions you have for me, you can email me directly, minoritytrailblazer@gmail.com. You can tweet me, Instagram me, whatever. If you have suggestions, people you want to see on the show, questions you want to ask, please do not hesitate to reach out. All right. So thank you for tuning in. Please don't forget to leave a review and a rating. And you have a great weekend, all right? So it wouldn't be the same if I didn't do one thing. And what is that, Greg Hill? That means I need you to change the culture. Good night, America.